Well, hello everybody, Mike with Spray Jones coming to you with another video today on spray foam insulation. If it gets wet, it dies. That is the topic today. If you are dealing with wood frame construction, the roof, the walls, the lumber cannot get repeatedly wet and allowed to stay wet. If it does, it is going to break down. That is just self-evident fact. So what building choice material should we be making? What materials should we be excluding? And if we are going to use these materials, how should they be protected? And is spray foam insulation, closed and open cell, contributing massively to premature failure? Well, the simple answer is no. You have two envelopes that are going on, and that's what we're going to talk about today. An exterior envelope that needs to protect from water and deal with water management, and then you've got your interior building envelope to the inside. Those are two mutually exclusive envelopes. They are related, but each one is vital and independent of each other and how they're going to perform. That's what we're going to discuss. With any wood frame construction, you have got to protect that wood from coming into contact with water, getting repeatedly wet, and worse than that, staying wet. So there has to be waterproofing, and if it does get wet, the ability to dry. You cannot leave the wood exposed to the elements. When you have closed cell or even open cell spray foam sprayed to the inside of the structure, this is not to waterproof it. This is to be your principal air barrier and moisture barrier to the inside. So first steps have to be taken to protect your structure externally and provide means to keep it alive. So when installed properly, closed cell and open cell foam will be seamless and continuous inside of the stud bay. If you look at the application of closed cell foam, this is a 2-pound density being sprayed in 2 passes to build up a final thickness of 3 inches in a 2x6 cavity. The plate at the base is being sprayed. He's going to get a first pass on and get his coverage from stud to stud, top to bottom. So the spray foam is in contact with 4 sides and the back. And then he'll bring the spray foam up to full thickness on a second pass and make sure that he's got any voids or thin spots taken care of. But you can clearly see off to the left that the closed cell foam is touching the stud side and there's no gaps. So any water penetration from the outside of this building is going to be terminated from coming into your stud cavity base. Furthermore, where seams exist, wood-to-wood connections, we put a caulking in between to stop the air and the water from going through those. Integrity of the outside skin, the sheathing, is going to be dependent on the weather barrier that you've got. So stucco, siding, what is the underlay and how's it been installed? Is it tied up to the windows? Is it sealed? Is it caulked? Is it taped? Is it flashed? Are the nails and the staples going to be letting water in? Are you using inefficient products that are going to let go over time? Has it been compromised due to the installation methods? If the water gets in, is there a way for it to get out? You know, you can look at multiple situations where the building looks to be watertight, but is anything but. Nails, screws, staples, wires, flashings, termination points, and even bad design where something is going to drain onto the top of a window or top of another wall. The points of exit of where the water needs to go or ingress where water can get into and stay are serious issues. The spray foam is not designed to protect the building from the inside. If it needs to protect the building, then it needs to be placed to the outside. So you can compromise a building incredibly quickly by having a very bad house wrap, a very bad flashing job, a very bad external sealant. I would say that the exterior is the most important part to keep the outside of the building intact and stop it from getting repeatedly wet, keeping it wet, and allowing it to commit suicide. There needs to be methods for drying, and there needs to be methods for dealing with water and snow and what have you that's going to get in. Your closed cell or open cell foam to the interior never has been and never will be your waterproofing. And now let's take a look at what's going to happen if you've got spray foam and a compromised exterior. And this is the result of water getting behind flashings, behind the building paper, behind the stucco, coming in through a compromised deck to wall detail. It actually rotted out the plates, allowed the water to come in down the wall from above. So this is a walkout wall in a basement with a deck above. And what you're seeing here is the OSB has rotted away to the point where when they pulled it off, what was left was the spray foam. The spray foam was holding the wall up. The homeowner called me and said, "You will not believe what I'm looking at. The foam is what's holding my wall up." And the water ran down into the corners, down and pooled at the bottom, caused the most damage towards the sills. That brought the carpenter ants, and they're attracted to the water, they're attracted to the rot, and then they burrowed in and started to eat the wood, and the whole entire structure began to go back to its original place in nature. This was a total destruction. It took 12 years for this damage that you're seeing to happen. So this probably was leaking from the deck from day one. The building was sprayed in 2012. So the whole entire walkout wall for 20 some odd feet was disassembled. Now, where there was no rot, where there was no leak, there was no rot. So where the deck wasn't compromised in its flashing detail, there was no issue. So what you're seeing here is temporary structure that was built to restore integrity. The wall was only being held up by the foam. So they restored structural support while they took the entire wall out, framed a new wall, and then brought us into respray foam the wall and the joists. I think it was 23 feet total that was ruined. Now this is 100% on water leaking from the deck above, getting behind the building paper. They said it was a compromised flashing. They also had a negative slope on the deck, but it destroyed everything in 12 years. And how they finally found out about it was that the water was coming in. Yeah, that's an LVL, was an LVL. You can see the striations of the different lines. Totally destroyed it from outside to in. How they found out about it was that the water was finally coming in around the nailing fins of the windows. But they had no idea water was coming in the middle of the wall sections because the spray foam was holding it. Like a really good spray foam job, closed cell spray foam job, you won't know this is going on, and nor should you, because the spray foam is seamless and caulked and sealed and complete from the inside. The water shouldn't be coming in. Now, this begs the question, why are some of these building materials being used? And if we're going to be coming in contact with water, this section of the house is fine. Didn't have a leak and it's not compromised. They were able to confirm that. But why are we using building materials that so quickly are destroyed when they come in with contact with water and stay wet? That's the ideas that we have to start to have. So here is a look at the inside. Somebody might say, well, okay, I don't want closed cell or even open cell foam. I want to know that the water's coming through. Well, at what point do you want to stop water? Water should be stopped to the outside. You don't want water coming into the building to notify you that you have a problem. See, the plates are all caulked. That caulking is 12 years old. Didn't allow the water to come through the plates. A lot of that is cracked because they were reefing on the building and moving things around now, and they've opened it up. But you do not want to allow water in. What you need to have is a way of water getting through, getting drained, and getting gone. But then you reach a certain point and you have to say to water, here and no further. And I'm going to put a waterproof layer up externally to stop the water. And then I'm going to put, waterproof closed cell spray foam to the inside. I want the best possible envelope on the interior side. And then I want the best possible envelope on the exterior so that the water isn't coming through. And with that, the building material is sandwiched in the middle. And between the choice of materials and what we put on what, we should have a waterproof integral skin that if you're choosing to use wood, the wood won't rot. And if you're choosing to use other materials, that it isn't going to break down. I know wood is the most common thing that we're going to be using. But maybe we can be using some steel stud and some exterior grade Dens glass, and maybe we can be putting the spray foam to the exterior. You know, Insofast and the X brackets have something with cladding the outside with the X bracket, putting the spray foam to the outside, then putting your exterior claddings over top of it from the exterior. That way, any water coming through is coming in contact with closed cell spray foam, and it cannot get anything wet to get it destroyed. So choose your building materials wisely. Don't respond in fear that, would you not go with membrane? Would you not go with something waterproof in the event that water gets past it? At which point you're not dry. You're not going to stay damp free. You have to have a barrier to moisture somewhere. And then deal with moisture progressively as to how it's going to get out. And if you think that things are going to become compromised, choose better materials. You know, I've seen some zip flashing, liquid flashings around windows that totally removes a lot of the issues that we've seen with water getting in around windows and causing rot at the sills. So better materials, better design, and that doesn't exclude spray foam. Spray foam is not the culprit. It didn't cause the problem. And the closing comment that I'd have is from the homeowner. He said, this problem still would have happened, still would have ruined the wall. It just would have taken me 5 or 6 years to find it instead of 12. But he said, at the 6-year point when we finally discovered it, the wall still would have been destroyed, and we would have had to have opened it up and totally replaced it. So, and it wasn't the spray foam's fault that this happened. Where it wasn't leaking, the wall's fine to this day. So water coming in contact with building materials that cannot get wet and stay wet is the problem. How are you going to deal with that? Your exterior envelope is super important, but don't make a decision to compromise your interior envelope on a what if. Don't generalize your decisions from a specific instance of failure. So hope this video sheds some light on the who, what, when, where, and why. We can dispel some myths and some fear and give you guys some common sense, practical for in the field. Talk to you soon. Catch you on another video.